Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, and Lauren. Welcome to the Cimorelli podcast.
Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Amy.
I'm Lauren.
And
we're Cimorelli.
Welcome back to...
The Cimorelli podcast. I just wanted to do a weird voice. Of
Yeah,
like,
why'd you
I'm
say
Lisa.
your name? I was
in an
really
accent.
kept on my
I
toes
was-
there.
yeah.
I was like,
Everyone's going to be disappointed because they love the accent.
but she did the accent.
I did it.
That
She
was
said
a
the
not a
Cimorelli
normal one.
podcast.
That was kind of like Irish.
No.
Okay,
Cimorelli
whatever.
podcast. I don't know.
Welcome back to the Cimorelli podcast.
Hey.
If you're new here, the Cimorelli podcast is a fun, uplifting podcast where we also focus a lot on self-improvement and personal growth. We share juicy stories, discuss personal topics, and get vulnerable and real with you guys. Every other episode is available only on our Patreon. We have to thank our patrons so much because they are the reason that we are able to shoot this. They fund the podcast. So thank you so much to our patrons. If you'd like to join our Patreon, I'm assuming the link is in the description, and it is an awesome place to be. There's more than just the podcast on there. First of all, you get double the episodes you get on YouTube on Patreon. You get the YouTube episode a week early on Patreon, and you get tons of other video series and what else besides video series? What did you call them?
Content?
Content.
Just content. Yeah, good content.
Yes. There's so much on there because it's been like a couple years now. So if you join, you're getting a lot of awesome content.
Open the floodgates.
I mean, just try it for a month if you're not sure. Try it out, see what you think. But there's some great content on our Patreon. I'm really proud of it. I love it.
I'm proud of it too.
Thank you.
I'm not.
But Lauren is not. Today's episode, the topic of conversation is the top 10 red flags in a relationship. Which we get to that topic of conversation in the middle of the episode. But first, I want to shout out
Just keeping stress.
the special guest on stage here, which is Kath made some pumpkin pie.
No,
It's apple.
pie.
Oh, why did I say
Girl.
pumpkin? Oh, because I was eating pumpkin seeds right before this.
Girl.
Kath
I've been making
made
a lot of pie lately.
apple pie, and Lisa is eating it because I was like, I'm not going to wait here for her to finish that, so just go for it. I'm not
It's
going to
just
sit
part of
here
the-
and wait.
It's part of the
I wish I had a
entertainment.
knife, but
Tell us, how does it
could've
taste?
got one. It's cold from the refrigerator. It's good.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell us.
Cold pie is good.
I'd like to brag and
say.
say the crust is also homemade. Okay, I'm done bragging.
That's true. Most people
That was a
don't.
Quick brag.
Okay, that's great.
Super quick.
So we start off these
Oh, I wanna
episodes
make a quiche.
with our highs and lows, where we open up to you guys about the high points and low points of our weeks.
Oof.
So who would like to start?
She's looking at me again. Okay, let's keep it quick. Let's keep it fresh. My high was I went on a beautiful walk. The weather lately has been
She stole mine.
Oh,
supreme.
good job.
Literally
No,
words out of my
that's
mouth. You're the only
okay.
person that's gone on a walk lately. Okay, I went on a walk. Beautiful weather, pristine. Just really elevated my mood, and wrote a song during the walk. You know, I've just been writing a lot lately. My low was last night. I don't know. I was just jazzed before bed and could not
Okay.
fall asleep before like 1:30. But I was like, I don't need sleep. And I'm gonna get up at 7:30, get a bunch of stuff done, which I did. But when I woke up, I was like, oh, I was wrong. It was very painful. So didn't get a lot of sleep. That was my low.
Yeah, I feel that. So, I don't know why.
Thank you. That was a great intro.
I love that.
Give her a break.
low.
She's
And
never
I-
done this before.
I know. It's like I'm so shocked every time.
Why?
Me?
Anyway,
I'm so
shocked. My low would be, I don't know. I can't think of like a specific pinpointed one, but I've kind of been like,
just
you
the
know,
whole week.
bobbing around. That would be the lower points. Would be like just bobbing around, like don't know which way is up, don't know which way is
Wait,
down.
I don't think most people understand what that means.
I
Quoting a
understand.
movie, I don't understand.
I
that.
understand.
I just have been kind of like
Out of it, just
Off
like
the
Yeah, you know when you feel like kind of like a plastic bag drifting through the wind.
Yes.
Now we get it.
Yeah.
Very does.
And then my high was when I just decided to
Stop.
yeah, no. When I just felt empowered.
Get some help.
I decided to empower myself.
my
And just in general, and I just felt very empowered because I was like,
So that is it.
Doing.
yes.
Creep.
I don't know why I felt this deep sense of empowerment lately in my soul.
Mm.
So that's been a real high. And I just was on a walk and I was just like yelling to myself, but
on
Not
the
never
walk.
seen
saying
that
out
before.
loud. Sometimes
You were definitely yelling out
It
loud.
was
Let's be
out
real.
loud.
Only a couple
That's
times.
so unfair. But yeah,
Okay.
I was like yelling to
Nice.
society at large.
You tell him.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was good. It was fun. It was fresh.
All right. So my high was that I wrote a really good song over the weekend.
Love to
It was
see it.
very sad, but it was very good. And like, so sometimes when I write songs, it's like I can feel it coming for like a couple weeks before. Like I'm like, ooh, there's like a good song coming,
Relatable.
and it's kind of like sad, or like I just kind of get a vibe of like
brewing.
there is something brewing. There's a storm coming. And like I had sat down a couple times in the last couple weeks trying to like give birth to it, but it just wouldn't come out. And it finally just all came out not today, over the weekend, and I was really happy with it. So that was a great high when it's like, it's like, when will it come out? It's just like itching in your skin, you know, and then it's like, ooh, there it is. And
Love that.
then my low was that I was just chilling on Saturday, you know, just watching TV all day, kind of. We were just like, kind of like a blob person. And then suddenly it was like 2 a.m. and I was like,
What?
why am I sad? And then I cried for like 20 minutes, just like about everything I was sad about. I listened to my sad playlist.
I feel.
So that was not the best day I've ever had.
Really?
Makes sense.
Pray tell.
Sounds like a great one.
Okay. I'm gonna do a not as deep one. As I said before, some episodes we do like really deep emotional lows, and some episodes it's not at all. So here's
I
a
feel
not
like
as
you're like
deep one.
apologizing for us. You're like, I'm sorry, we're not
I'm like,
struggling
I
more.
swear we have some real problems. This isn't my
Yeah.
only problem.
Many real
It's
problems.
okay.
No,
Let
say
me guess, you
all
dropped
your
a
life
chip?
problems right
Yeah,
now.
my low was I
Go.
dropped a chip. My low was I'm gonna do two clothing related ones actually. My low was that I had a realization when I walked in my closet and I was like, ugh, I can't wear most of these pieces of clothing. And it was really stressful because I was like, crap, I don't have that much clothing I can wear. What am I gonna do? And guys, I spent years figuring out how to put together an outfit that I didn't hate. Okay. So then suddenly I get it down and now I'm like, now I have a different body type. Because I'm pregnant, if you didn't know that. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, so now I have to dress differently. I mean, a bunch of my shirts, they don't even, at this point, they don't even cover my whole stomach.
Whoa.
So it's like, and I wear really
So
low pants.
crazy to think
So I'm like,
about.
not the best. So that was really annoying because I was like, oh man, I don't have any clothes. And then a high was that one night when I was having my pregnancy insomnia, awake between the hours of 1 and 5 a.m., I did some shopping and I forgot about it. And then the next day I was like, did I really order something? I don't know. And then these clothes came to my door.
Oh, that is the best though, when you forget and then you're like, a surprise.
That
Yes.
was me. That was me the other day when I opened a box and there was a wig waiting for me.
Oh my God.
I forgot about it.
Well,
fun.
it was great because the stuff I ordered was awesome. Really awesome. So that was
Love
my
that.
high. I was so excited that it was like really flattering, really comfortable, fit really well. I mean, it was expensive, but I think it was worth it. So that was my
Definitely
high.
worth it.
Girl, yes.
Okay, my low was something I'll file under the filing cabinet of Kath's never-ending saga of neglecting her own needs.
Oh, yeah.
If you may notice that's a pattern for me.
You gotta close the book, Cap.
Yeah, I stayed up too late last night, and I was helping my friend, so it was a noble cause. But I stayed up way too late, and then I couldn't wake up early enough, and I didn't do anything for myself. I just jumped into some paperwork that I had to do for something else. So, kind of didn't really take care of myself, and I'm already feeling kind of like drained a little bit. But hopefully, I can resolve that soon. And my high, Lisa, stole it.
Oh no.
Okay, there's a walk, and then there's a walk. I went on a walk.
You're
Girl,
right.
you're right.
And it was when the sun was perfectly setting and a golden glow was cast throughout the neighborhood.
I'll have you know
Yes.
that I left first, so you stole mine.
Whoa.
Okay.
Copycat.
No, I didn't realize you were
Copycat.
keeping tabs.
You're the one keeping tabs. Anyway.
No, you said it first. I'm not keeping tabs. But yeah, and also our neighborhood is just so beautiful right now and everything is so green. It's been amazing. So yeah, my gorgeous walk yesterday really highlight.
Oh,
Amazing.
yes.
Well, that was our highs and lows of the week. Now we're going to move on to our spicy advice Q&A.
All right.
Ooh.
Now, as always, this is from Patreon. Hey. This is from Astrid.
Hey, Patreon.
Hey, Patreon. I know
Please
you. I
notice
think
me.
I know you. I think you know me. All right. So this is from our patron, Astrid Moen. M-O-E-N. Moen. I don't know. She asked, how do you deal with being judged and being scared about telling people that you're religious?
Ooh.
That's really
Oh.
interesting.
How do you deal with it?
Okay, honestly, I feel weird. This is like something that I've never dealt with. I don't know.
In LA, we were pretty quiet about stuff.
No,
we were pretty
my whole
quiet.
life, I don't really like put it out there or not put it
Oh, I get
out
what you're
there.
saying.
I just like, I don't. Maybe I just don't. I don't know. I've never had this weird conversation or with a person or feeling of like, what, you a Christian? But I don't know that I like push it in people's faces either. But I don't even think you have to necessarily to have that.
Yeah, people.
But I haven't for somehow.
Yeah,
Maybe because people look at me, especially when I had a shaved head, and they're like, "Oh, she wouldn't judge. She's bald." I don't know.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
I do remember feeling this a lot in LA because people would make a lot of comments, like derogatory comments. So I'd be like, oh, I don't know if I should say that I'm religious, but I realized if someone's being really judgmental and derogatory about different religions, religious things, whatever it is, beliefs. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna be like friends anyway. So it's normally it's in situations where you're probably not gonna be their friend, and it's like maybe a work situation or something. But I do like to just say, point out like, did you mean for that to be offensive, or like, what was your intention with saying that? Like, ask them what's going on, but just realize that's kind of weird. I mean, do you walk around saying derogatory things about other people's beliefs? Do you just say that out in public to people around you just met, or like work situations, whatever it is? Do you do that? Probably not, hopefully. So it's kind of weird to do that. So I just don't really respect it when people do that. And I probably don't want them like in my inner circle anyway. I want someone who's more like open-minded. Like the people who I'm friends with, we don't share. Well, I didn't even have friends with the same like religious beliefs as me until we moved here, really. Like 0 friends. And a lot of my close friends, we've been like opposite beliefs, like in every way. So I don't mind having opposite beliefs. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you can't like respect other people's beliefs, then you got a real problem. So I just don't respect it when people can't respect others.
Yeah, I think it's a deeper problem that it's like Christina's kind of saying it's so much more than just being about religion. If someone's prejudging you based on their own notions of something, like I have friends of all different backgrounds and beliefs, and many of them do not share anywhere near the same beliefs as me. But that doesn't mean that we still don't have lots of things in common. We can talk about the things in our lives, our relationships, our families. Like we're both human beings sharing the human experience. So I tend to look for people to surround myself with more who look for common ground rather than, and if you have differences, they can celebrate them or at least just respect them. And yeah, if you have people that are kind of like bashing you or whatever for being different, it's like, they're probably doing that with a lot of things other than religion. So I don't really associate with that type of person anyway.
Yeah, because I've brought up stuff to friends before who were religions that were like really different from mine and asked them a lot of questions.
Yeah, you can have some
like,
great talks.
Pretty open questions that might have been like, I don't know, going there. But we had a great conversation. It was really respectful. We didn't have any problems. I was able to just ask her questions and not start a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt more when I was like a teenager, being friends with people that weren't religious, like, ooh, kind of weird about saying something. Even just like, oh, like saying something that's just like, wow, thank you, God, for this thing. That's just like, oh, I was just like thanking God in that moment. Like, oh, I don't know if that's like offensive to this person. But I kind of had to realize like, you just talking about your own beliefs and not like shaming someone else for it and not like making a personal attack against anyone else, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with talking about what you believe and like saying like thank you God, or like, oh, like God really got me through this time, or things like that. And like it can feel like, oh, like a sensitive subject sometimes, but you just have to know that like there's nothing wrong with talking about that if that's what you believe.
Yeah. And you're missing out on a lot if you only have friends who have the exact, like the same beliefs as you. it's really cool to have friends of different beliefs and different points of view because you can learn a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
it's also, if you think about this the opposite way, it's like expecting people who are not religious to never mention it. And it's like, do not dare mention that you're not religious. Never say that. I'm going to make fun of it. I'm going to say derogatory statements about it, whatever.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
expect that, I would assume. I wouldn't expect that. So it's weird
If
that someone
something's
expected of
important
you.
to someone, why would they not be allowed to talk about it? No matter what
Mhm.
that is, they should be allowed to talk about that, like part of their life.
Well, we're going to jump into our topic of conversation
Oof.
for today. This is a spicy
Very
topic.
Yeah.
Top 10 red flags in a relationship. Okay, so guys, there's more red flags in this.
This was hard to narrow down.
Yeah.
There's millions.
Could keep going on, but we're just going to do some 10 of them today.
Honestly,
okay?
we can talk for years about red flags. Very long.
Yeah, because we've learned a lot throughout our dating lives, all of
Yeah.
our friends, blah, blah, blah. There's just a lot of stories you hear and you
And
just learn a
Also,
lot.
we've all been hurt. If you listen
Oh,
to our
yeah.
songs, you know that. You know that. I've heard people say, come to our concerts and be like, wow,
Like, who hurt
they went through a lot. Like, and I think that's why we are so aware of these red flags, almost like a protective thing. Like,
Yeah.
you want to kind of share this with other people so that they can
Yeah.
protect themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Because this isn't just dating. This is also friendships. Like, you can apply these to a lot of different
Yeah.
types,
Oh,
types of
yeah.
relationships,
True.
family members.
That's
Yeah.
true. All right, so let's get into top 10 red flags. First
Number one.
Oh, I'm so- these are not in any particular order.
Yeah,
by the way.
they're not.
No.
Changing your entire identity over the course of this relationship and people around you starting to notice.
Yeah, and I want to
Mm.
clarify that there's a difference between, okay, I've noticed this with Max, that when we started dating over time, we kind of started picking up a few of each other's like phrasings or just little words or like mannerisms. That's different than changing your entire identity and your core beliefs to match another person. I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen like multiple friends I've had in the past or people that I've known do this where it's almost unrecognizable. You're like, you literally created a new persona to match with this other person. And that's just like, that's heartbreaking that you,
Mhm.
because yeah, like I'm saying, you will find new things, maybe new hobbies, passions by meeting this person, but there's a huge difference between that and your own core identity as a person
like who
changing.
you are
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of friends do it actually. I have one friend, it was like she was different with every relationship.
It's like
Yeah.
eat, pray,
It was
love.
weird.
Yeah, that's more of a self-identity
It's really weird.
crisis.
Yeah, it's like not having a strong sense of yourself. Like you're like, oh, okay, well, you like that. I feel like there's a lot of like Disney Disney Channel
Yes.
episodes about this where they change to be like the guy they like, and then they're like, don't do that, be yourself. And it's like,
Because
yeah.
you and your significant other are never gonna have identical beliefs. Because how on earth could you?
And why
Yeah,
do you
you
want
can't-
to date yourself?
could
And
you?
why
Yeah.
do they want to date themselves? Like,
Yeah, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
like they say you should have core values aligned. Like you should have this like the same values, I guess, or like very similar on the important things, but you don't have to be a clone of them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where it gets weird. A clone.
Don't
Yeah.
alter yourself to fit Vera.
Yes, that's a
It's
quote
a
from
movie
Brad Wars.
quote.
I feel like we should start explaining our
Amy,
movie
okay,
quotes.
so Amy quotes movies all the time that we know that you probably don't know. So
Brad
if Amy
Wars.
says something random, it's probably a movie quote.
I
Okay?
quote
Yeah.
everything.
Just Google it
Oh.
and you'll figure out.
Or
what
if
it's
if we
from.
don't say it, it's probably the Grinch.
Movie quotes,
Honestly,
me.
Okay, you want to read the
Song
next
Okay.
one?
lyrics.
The next red flag is having constant conflict in the beginning of the relationship. Because yes, it's like, okay, relationships are hard. They take work, you know. You hear that all the time, like, you gotta make
Mm.
it work, whatever. You gotta, I don't know, it's hard. But it shouldn't be that hard in the beginning. It really shouldn't. Maybe if you've been like married for 10 years, like, yeah, there could be a lot of conflicts you need to resolve. But like, if you're just starting dating someone, like, it shouldn't be so difficult. Like, there's just a certain point where it's like you're trying to fit these two puzzle pieces together.
They
They
ain't
just
gonna
don't
fit.
fit. And if you just keep arguing, like having all these things that you can't really resolve and like find yourself back at the same place, and it's been like that since the beginning, like it's probably not going to get any better.
Well, I always say, what is the price? Like, are you paying $10,000 for something that costs $100? Meaning, are you
Mm.
giving up like your happiness, your peace of mind, your like regular lifestyle to constantly be at war with this person? Like,
Mhm.
why is this relationship that's not even that developed worth this intense struggle and pain?
Mhm.
Yeah, like people say relationships take work, and that's true, but it doesn't mean you should be running yourself into the ground and giving up everything you have for this
there's
person.
a fine line.
There's a fine line. Your own well-being is that fine line.
True.
All right, another one is walking on eggshells around the person constantly, which is like fear of saying or doing the wrong thing all
It's
the
like
time.
I'm walking on broken glass.
Okay, I got a great metaphor for this one. I feel like the way you should feel around your significant other is, well, and I guess you could apply this to friends too. It could be anyone, but you should feel the way you feel when you come home from work after a long day. You've been out and you were wearing, your tight business suit or whatever. I'm not saying that we wear that, but I'm saying imagine you were. Your uncomfortable shoes.
Your high-waisted
and then you
jeans.
come home and you put on
my
your
gosh.
sweats. You take your makeup off and you put on really soft
You lay
socks.
in your bed.
And you feel very safe.
And you're just like, yes, like that's how you
Safe,
should feel.
comfortable.
It's like, I'm just myself. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. Is it going to set you off? Oh my gosh, I'm so worried. Like, I can't say the wrong thing.
Am I going to set you off? I don't even know what's going to set you off. Because sometimes in this situations, the person will be constantly like changing the rules. So you don't know what upsets them on any given day. It's like
makes me
one
so
day it was chewing really loudly. The next day you didn't text back quick enough. The next day it's something else. And they keep getting mad at you. But you think like, well, you don't think at this point.
You
At this
can't
point, it's just like,
predict it.
I don't know if something I'm going to do is going to make them mad. So you're kind of in this constant state of, I have to be alert at all times to make sure I'm not upsetting them.
Again, why is it worth that price? Why in the world is that? Yeah, okay, the answer, it's not worth it.
Yeah, if it feels like you're coming home from work at the end of a long day and putting on a straight jacket, that's a bad sign.
Ooh, yeah, no, you cannot.
Constant mood swings is another kind of way this could happen. Like they just keep changing how they're acting, or I guess how they're feeling. Well, I'm not saying that, but like how they're acting for no apparent reason. Like you can't tell.
Yes.
Why are they in a bad mood? You don't really know, and they're just taking it out on you, and you don't understand because you can't predict like what is their mood going to be like today. Are they going to be nice to me today? Are they going to be mean to me today for no
just
apparent
cold,
reason?
or like this?
Are they going to be
sad.
distant? You don't know. It just keeps changing.
Yeah, I actually had that a lot more with like female friends. That was a way bigger problem for me.
We should talk about that on one of these episodes. Kat has a really good, like, kind of longer story to get into because I want to take like time to flesh it out. It's like a really good example.
You can't even put into words the pain of constantly trying to guess someone's next mood and feeling like it's your fault. Oh, it hurts so
You're
much.
not a psychic. That is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, hurts a lot.
You already said that.
Oh, okay. And then the next red flag. Feeling like you constantly have to prove that your problems or your feelings are actually important or actually a big deal because they're constantly minimizing everything. Can you give some examples?
Okay. I want to say that you can also be kind of tricked in this, as I have before, where it's not like okay, you tell them you had a bad day, and it's not like they're completely blowing you off or like that doesn't matter, I don't care. It's not so overt, but it's just kind of they're just like, and you just kind of like, oh, like I don't think they get like I had a really bad day though, like I'm really
They're
upset,
not connecting,
and you're
they're not
trying
feeling
to like,
empathy.
yeah, it's like they're not really getting it, and you feel like you have to keep going of like. Yeah, I was really sad though. Like I was really
like,
upset, and like
okay, wanna watch
every
a show?
time, and they're just like,
Like,
"Oh, I'm
what?
sorry, I'm here for you." Like they can even say stuff like that, but you just don't really feel like they get it.
Like
And
they're
it's like,
here.
I mean, I think people do that sometimes, yeah, because they're just not really getting it. But if this is like a constant thing where every time you're upset, you feel like they just don't get it and they don't care, that is definitely a red flag.
Or they just they turn it back and keep talking about themselves.
I have a more obvious version because, guys, some of these things can be so subtle, and the subtle ones are the ones that are really going to get you because it takes a lot
feel
of
crazy.
like sitting back and analyzing what's going on for you to catch them. They're hard to catch. The obvious ones, like you can catch those, but the subtle ones will get
the
you.
trick.
So
They
here's
will
an
get you.
obvious one. This has never happened to me before, but this is like a classic one, which is like, a guy's hanging out with his like best friend who's a girl, and it seems like they definitely have a lot of chemistry. Something's going on, and you're telling him like he's your boyfriend. And you're like, I kind of feel uncomfortable because it seems like she was really flirting with you when she said this thing, whatever. And he's like, it's not a big deal. I don't know why you're so sensitive.
Ugh.
And then you're like, no, it is a big deal. He's like, no, it's not. You are so insecure. And then he's like, okay. So he's telling you that what you're telling him is not a big deal.
Invalidating.
I can't hear.
I think that one makes sense. Okay. This is a big one. We have some great examples. Controlling behavior.
What? This is a red flag? I don't know. I disagree.
And I think people miss this a lot because, as I wrote, this can be really obvious or so subtle. Because so growing up, you hear about this a lot, I feel like, reading like magazines and watching shows, like there's like storylines and you learn about this. And I thought controlling was like when someone's telling you what you can or can't do, which that is controlling. I thought that was the only way you can do it. Like, you can't wear that, you can't do that, whatever. I didn't realize there are subtle ways you can control people.
And most people, I would say, probably are more subtle about it.
You can
if they were that obvious, they probably wouldn't get the effect they wanted.
Guilt tripping
does not only apply to romantic relationships. It can apply to any relationship.
100%. Friendships,
friendships, family relationships, even work relationships.
Yes. So you can use guilt tripping to control someone. Anyone want to give an example?
When you say you want to do something and then someone tells you why it would hurt them so much if you did that, and you're like, I don't understand.
When it doesn't
really affect you.
Have to do like if you hung out with your friend and they're like, you've hung out with your say your significant other, your boyfriend. You hung out with him a few nights in a row, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hang out with my friend tonight. And he's like, okay.
I have something really special planned, but
I was really looking forward to seeing you tonight. I'll just be really sad that we don't get to hang out, but that's fine. Did he tell you couldn't hang out? No, he didn't say that.
But with everything
he said that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's
he basically said
he made you feel bad with his tone.
And you're just saying, I'm going to go hang out with my friend. It's not like
what you say to that is, get your own life, you wimp. No,
relationship 101.
No
Call him a wimp.
I'm just kidding. Don't do that, please.
So other ways of controlling behavior. Okay, so this is a really subtle one. This is where he will say statements to you
of who he wants you to be.
Yeah, this is kind of confusing, but I wrote an example.
Weird. This is so twisted that it happens. Like, I've seen it happen.
Because you're not the kind of girl who likes to go out a lot, and he'll keep saying that. And he's trying to get you to say, I'm not the kind of girl who likes to go out a lot.
You know what the word for this is actually? It's kind of dramatic, but it's called brainwashing. That's actually a real thing.
This happens. It's
a real thing. People do it in relationships.
Unfortunately, I'm not making this up, and I know multiple people who've had this in their relationships. Unfortunately.
And it sounds dramatic until you experience
it. They've quoted the lines to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, because it's subtle, because he's not telling you, telling you not to go out. But over time, you can start to believe like, oh yeah, I'm not that kind of girl. Or it could be a worse statement.
And he is showing you that he wouldn't like it if you did.
I have another example. He could say, oh yeah, because this might sound like a nice thing, because you're so pretty, you never need to wear makeup. You're not like one of those insecure girls who feel like they need to like get dressed up and try to look all pretty when they go out. You just don't have to do that. Okay, that sounds nice.
So they're giving you a negative connotation for the thing that they don't want you to do.
Now, someone could say this and it could be fine. Guys, everything is such a fine line. You can't just make a blanket statement to apply anything to anything. But I'm saying, in this situation, he's saying that because he wants you to associate getting ready with being insecure. Mm-hmm. And he's going to keep saying that so that you think, okay, I'm not going to get ready because then he's going to think I'm insecure, or it means I'm insecure. But he's not telling you not to get dressed up all cute. He's not telling you that. He's complimenting you and saying, you're so confident. Guys, it's a trick. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying everyone's out there to trick you. I'm saying in this situation, it is a trick. And I'm talking about real situations here. So I have a lot of friends who've been through this, actually, unfortunately. So the first experience I had with this was I was like 17, and I had a friend who was a little older than me, and she was in an insane controlling relationship. It's so weird how they're all the same. I don't know how that's possible, but they are like all the same. So one of the things that he was doing was the next part of being controlling, which is constant monitoring of her location
and like what she's up to.
Constant phone calls. So we'd be hanging out and he would not stop calling her. And she's like, sorry, he's calling again. He just has to know where I'm at all times, because she was trying to get out of the relationship at this point. This wasn't the time where you can like share locations or anything. Like this was like 2008,
9.
Yeah, this was 7 probably, or 6. this is a long time ago. So he wouldn't stop. He had to know where she was at all times.
I like how you wrote, you're trying to write a woman's name, but it came out as cheese.
Cheese?
She's like, talk about cheese. I was like, cheese? What's cheese? Gouda, Munster.
Isolating you from your friends and family.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Classic.
This was one that I always read about in those magazines. Like, why were we so warned about controlling relationships
Because
as a child? Like,
yeah,
with our
we
generation.
Yeah,
We were-
every
I
like
remember it.
17
Every
magazine,
women's
they talked
magazine,
about it.
they always had
totally
TV
did.
shows, they had TV episodes about it. It was like, watch out for these signs. But this was a big one of like isolating you from your family or friends, like
Yeah.
slowly
Can
over
you say
time.
a subtle way? Because an obvious way, which this did happen to someone that I know, she's also older than me, a lot older than me actually. Actually was her first marriage. He actually did say, you need to choose between me and your family. And she was like, what?
Oh,
Why?
yeah.
There was no conflict. There was no problem there. But that actually happened. And she was
crazy.
like, oh my gosh, I don't want to cut my family off.
And-
that's obvious.
And
What's
even
a subtle
an
thing?
even more subtle
Oh, I
thing
got a
that
subtle
I want to know a
one.
subtle one.
I have a friend who told me that in her marriage, her husband would say true things, but he would use them as a weapon. So he would say, "Oh wow, your mom always favored your sister. She really must not love you." So like,
Oh my
he would use a
gosh.
true example. So he was slowly trying to pull
So
her
it's like
away
he
from
said
her.
something true.
Like, oh, your family must be insert here because they did this. So he'll take something that's
Yeah.
true and he'll turn it into this
No.
huge. Her mom loves her. Obviously, her mom loves her. That's not true. And maybe she even did favor the sister in some ways, and that's not healthy. But that doesn't mean that her mom didn't love her. And he would like
Yeah.
take that and twist it.
Well, here's a subtle one that was said to me. This is like not about family, this is about friends, where this guy, he was like, he didn't really have very many friends, so he told me like, yeah, I just feel bad sometimes when you're just always out hanging with your friends because, you know, I don't really have that many friends.
Oh,
And it's like, that doesn't really sound like there's anything wrong with saying that, but it can make you feel like, oh, like, I don't want him to feel
want him to
bad
feel
about
bad.
himself. Like, I don't want to be out with my friends all the time and make him feel bad.
Oh.
So that's like a really subtle thing to
That-
say.
yeah. So
It's
they're
a
not.
personal problem for him.
They're
He
not
needs to get
saying
some
like
friends.
you can't hang out with your friends, but they're subtly trying to
They're
like
saying,
punish
when you do this, it makes
in
me
a way.
upset. Do you want to make me upset?
That's what they're saying.
Oh, it gives me a chill.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. Like I'm trying to say, like, maybe I could say, I've never said this, but say I could say to Nick, like, oh, Nick, I'm so jealous. You have all these friends. I wish that I had a friend group. And then I'm like, what do you think I should do to try to build up a great friend group? That's totally different, right?
That is very different.
So different than what
And
she's
it's
saying.
like, oh, it makes me feel bad.
It's
Ew.
guilt tripping, manipulation.
You having friends in your own life should not make anyone else feel bad.
Another common thing in controlling is controlling what you wear.
This was also
Mhm.
always in the magazines.
Yes.
It
I was like, what? Who
was.
does that? But I heard about it all the time.
Oh. Sometimes it's flat out, of course, but what is a subtle way someone could try to control what you're wearing?
Well, this is really weird. This wasn't in a romantic setting, but I had a female friend once say like, "Oh, you're wearing that shirt again." Like she pointed out that I wore it
Whoa.
like multiple times in a row or something. I don't know. It was like she didn't say anything bad, but it was like she was kind of controlling, and it was like her way of saying she didn't approve of it.
Oh.
So weird. It makes me creeped
You
out
could
now.
call something like, "Oh, that's a interesting shirt." And it's like he's not telling you can't wear it, but he's like keeps saying it.
Yeah, or like, oh, I don't really like it when you wear that. That's so rude. But it's like, oh, he's just saying
You
his
can make
opinion.
a joke. He can
Yeah,
make a joke
a
about it.
joke
And be like,
about it.
"Oh, you look like," and then
Yeah.
insert derogatory comment here
Oh
when you
my
wear
gosh.
that. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. And then
I
it's like,
actually
wear that.
tested
Can't
my
hear it.
fiance with this when we first started dating because I was like, all right, I got to know, is this guy comfortable with a woman that wears everything under the sun? And I would just wear like the ugliest,
That's
weirdest
so
outfits
true.
sometimes. And I was looking for that response
Oh.
of like, whoa, what are you wearing? But it's always like, wow, that's so cool. I was like, yes, yes.
Also, another thing is telling you like what he wants you to wear instead of what you wear. Like,
Oh.
oh, like I would love it if you wore this kind of thing. And it's like, if someone just says that, like, oh, like one time of like, oh, if you wear this, that'd be cute, whatever, like, that doesn't necessarily mean they're controlling you. But it's like, especially if they tell you something that's like so not your style, and
Ugh.
they're like, oh, if you wore this,
Like
then
they're
I
trying to
think
change
that's
turn you into
so
something different.
hot. That it's like,
It's kind of objectifying too.
it's
it
like,
feels
okay, so you don't like what I wear. Like,
Yeah.
it just makes you feel like that. And like, if you don't have enough, like,
clothes. No, I'm just kidding.
if you don't have enough, like, sense of self to realize, like, okay, just because he wants me to do that, I don't need to do that, then you might start changing yourself for him.
Actually, honestly, I'm realizing at this point in my life, I think anyone that makes a lot of comments about your appearance, that's kind of a red flag.
Yes.
I used
Yes.
to seek a lot of validation for my
I
appearance, so I
agree.
would have guys I would always be attracted to guys that just compliment. And I was kind of weirded out at first. My fiance didn't, but now I'm like, oh, I love that because no matter what I'm wearing, it's totally chill. There's never like, oh, why aren't you dressed like this today? It's like you don't really want that person to be so hyper focused on you. It's too stressful.
Okay, I actually know a lot of people have this exact one, which is using anxiety to control you. So there's a difference between expressing someone like, oh, I'm really anxious about this thing, and like asking for support in a healthy way, and then using it to control someone. And I have seen this multiple times in my life, and it's where he'll tell you like, oh, it really makes me anxious when you do this because I always just assume that you're flirting with someone. Like when you go out anywhere without me, you go out anywhere without me, I'm sorry. Like, oh wait, I'm really sorry. This is totally not your fault. This is totally me. It's my problem. But I just get really anxious when you go anywhere without me because it makes me feel like you're going to be flirting with someone. And I know it's just my problem because I have this issue and you don't, but it just makes me so anxious. So, and then they don't even suggest anything.
That makes you want to crawl out of my
like,
skin.
oh, I don't want to make him
with me.
anxious.
Yeah, you don't
like,
want him-
I don't want
Yeah.
to go anywhere without
you
him.
think
and
I'm making
be
this up?
anxious. Like,
No,
I can
she's
think
not.
of at least 3 people. At least 3 people. With
That
the
is very
exact
real.
And
example.
it's such an umbrella of like, they make you responsible for their behavior.
I was gonna say that.
And that is such a like
Not
landmark
okay.
controlling behavior thing.
He's
It's
not saying,
acceptable.
hey, when you go over and you kiss that guy in the cheek, it feels like you're flirting with him.
Okay, just to clarify, it's when someone is saying this about like totally normal, valid behavior of like when you leave
when you
the
go
house.
to the
Well,
grocery
and
store.
just blaming you for like I've read articles multiple times of girls who are in really controlling abusive relationships, and they said the guy would like get mad and like punch the wall or like do something angry, and then he'd be like, "You made me mad. Like it's your fault. It's not your fault.
It's
If
never.
you're watching this and someone told you, it's not your fault. I just feel passionate about that right now.
It is never your fault. Anyone else's
Well,
behavior.
Don't be blamed for his behavior or her behavior. It's a girl.
Yeah.
Well, that goes perfectly in the next one, which is crossing your boundaries.
Ugh.
Oof.
This
When
whole
you-
thing makes me so sad.
I know.
Yeah.
When you say you're not comfortable with something, it could be literally anything, and they don't respect it and they do it anyway, or they try to like convince you around it.
Oh my gosh. One time I told this guy, I was like, I really don't like when you like speak to me that way. And I said this in like a really gentle way because I didn't want to make him like feel like I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't think you meant this, but it doesn't make me feel good when you say stuff like that. He's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that at all, but I'm sorry you, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, I'm sorry you took it that way, but I would never, blah, blah. Like, kind of saying, like, you shouldn't have felt that way. That's how it came across, and I was like, ugh. And this was the only man I ever knew or dated that wore a shirt that said feminist. I was like, okay, so you're such a feminist, but you are the man that made me feel more disrespected than anyone else.
Don't trust the
Not
feminist shirt.
And this
It's a
could,
boy.
yeah,
It doesn't necessarily
maybe that's a
mean-
red flag.
Oh,
This
we
could
don't
be
know.
overt, or you could be really subtle once again, and you could use a guilt trip to get around a boundary. This is so creepy. So I can think of a really creepy example, and this is actually really common. So you're like, oh, these are my physical boundaries. I don't want to go past this place. And the guy says, but I just really want to, well, it's not a guilt trip exactly. I really want to feel close and connected with you. I'm not going to feel like I'm in love with you unless this happens.
Like,
Don't you want
you're
me
not going to feel in
am I
love with
really
me
good
then.
at this guy?
I'm scared.
That's
I'm
so
scared.
creepy.
Yeah, if
It's
anyone
so
tries
creepy.
to, if you tell someone I'm not comfortable with this physically and they try to do it, that is a huge, huge, huge red flag. You should never be pressured. I feel like one of those teen magazines. You should never
Well,
be
it's
pressured
true.
into doing something that you're not ready to do. You don't feel comfortable. And if you say that one time, he should never bring that up again. Just leave it. Don't talk about it. She already told you she's not ready
Because
for that.
Why do you want to touch someone that doesn't want you to touch them?
Yes.
How
Yeah,
weird
why?
does that feel?
That is really
like,
weird.
If you're like, I love this. It's so great. It's so
And this
connected
is
to you.
Here.
Here's an example too about this. This happened to me a couple times in my life. It's happened one particular time, and he was crossing a line that I told him not to cross, and I was like, "Whoa, stop!" And he wasn't stopping, so I hit him in the face. And then what did he do? he tried to guilt trip me and he started crying and he's like, I can't believe you hit me. And I was like bro. Because he was acting, he's like, you're violent. Guys, it wasn't that hard.
She
okay.
didn't like knock him out.
He just like, did just like push him
you.
away. Like, get away.
Yeah, he was bigger than me and it wasn't that hard because he was like physically, he was like,
sometimes you gotta defend yourself.
Yeah, he wasn't listening to me and I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have one more example of crossing the boundaries where I was like on a trip with this guy and it's like I really like I need to go to bed, you know, like I'm really tired. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, or whatever. Like he would either agree or flat out be like, no, we're gonna stay up, we're gonna go here and there and blah blah. He would keep me up to like 6 a.m, like out and about, and I was like, what is going on? Like I would be there like sitting there, he's like hanging out with people and I'm like falling asleep, and I didn't have the self-respect to be like, I want to go to bed. I was like, okay,
yeah, and
fine.
What all of these examples have in common is this person has a complete disregard for you. They don't value you. They're not valuing your comfort, your safety,
Your wants, your needs.
your energy level. Like they're not valuing
They're
you.
like, what I want matters.
Well,
And they're
I
like,
want
I
to
wanna
say
be
one last
connected with
thing,
you.
though. That's a really subtle way. It's kind of what you said, but it's like I told this guy just like, oh, I don't really want you to touch me right now, like at all. And it's like, that is fine to say. And like, there's certain things I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to do this right now. Like, I just kind of want some space. And he would get so like sad, like a wounded bird on the sidewalk. And that is manipulative. Like, you cannot be so upset that someone's just like, I don't really want to do this right now. Like, that is manipulative.
Yeah, we can't have that.
There's a difference between expressing your feelings and using your feelings to change someone's behavior because you don't like it. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
Jealousy, not too much to say about this one.
Just being, jealous.
Over the top jealousy.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of jealousy is not necessarily a red flag.
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah,
doing
it's so
something like if like
situational.
when you walk up to that guy and kiss him on the cheek, it makes me jealous. I'm gonna be like, he's controlling. But if you're doing like normal, chill things, or just living your life, and someone's always jealous,
He's like, I saw you look at that guy.
It's like,
Yeah, or he's
Yeah,
like,
and
I know you like him.
yes,
Like, I know this,
making-
I know that. It's like, no.
making things up that you didn't do or you didn't mean, and like the opposite of giving you the benefit of the doubt, like always assuming that you didn't mean well.
yes.
You were interested in someone else. It's like, look, why don't you go date a cardboard cutout then? You'll never have to worry about them running
I
away.
literally just talked to someone about her relationship, and that was exactly what was going on. He kept accusing her of things and assuming things, and she had literally done zero.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, our mom was in a relationship that was not healthy. And he would say things like, actually, she was in maybe a few of them, but like he would say things like, you're so pretty. Like, I wish you could just like leave the house with like a plastic bag over your head just because you're so
A
pretty.
paper bag.
Plastic.
Paper bag. Just so I don't want anyone to see how pretty you are besides me.
That is so
and I'm
creepy.
like, how
Holy-
can you
It's
say
like,
that?
I just can't handle these other guys looking at you.
Yeah.
It's like,
I wish you
I
could
just
just
can't
stay home
handle
and
it.
have everything ordered and delivered to you.
Because I just love, he's like, I just love you.
And here's
so
the
much.
here's
You're
the
not
underlying
Rapunzel.
I want to be the only
God.
one.
Here's the underlying message. This person has no self-esteem. They are so threatened by you literally going to the grocery store and possibly a man looking at you. Like, this person doesn't have any sense of self-esteem or self-worth, and they're going to be overly relying on you to give that to them, and they'll feel threatened by anything.
Yeah, and
then
look, that's sad that that person is so damaged, but it's not your
It's not
responsibility
your
to
problem.
fix them.
healthy for
That
you.
brings us perfectly to the next red flag, which is constantly making excuses for their behavior. And I can think of one that goes with what we just said.
Ooh.
But he's just really insecure and has no self-esteem. It's not his fault that he behaves like this. I just feel so bad because I'm like, make him feel better. I wanna make him feel worse.
no.
And even on a lighter side of this, just trying to explain weird behavior. Like with the last guy I was talking to, I felt like he was like leading me on a wild goose chase. And I had to keep like, when I would talk to my friends and stuff, I was like explaining his behavior. But it was unexplainable.
He didn't text me because
Yes. Like
no,
he
just
said
didn't text
next
you.
weekend, but then like when I asked him about it again, he was like this, but I was like, I don't know. I guess maybe he
that's
just thinks
so
this.
true. That's
I
so
just had to
true.
explain
Yeah,
everything.
it's like if it doesn't make sense to tell someone it in a really simple way, there's a
keeps
problem.
happening.
And you have to keep like being like, oh, well, he didn't really mean this. Like it was this.
And you start not mentioning things
There's a
because you
problem.
don't want to have to explain it because you know, but you're like, no, I swear it makes sense. This is your thought process. It makes sense, but I just don't want to mention it because they're just not going to get it. So I don't want to explain it. But I get it. That's
why is
if
it so
it
hard to
makes
explain?
sense, it
You don't have
shouldn't
to
be hard to
explain it.
why
tell.
is it so hard to explain?
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, he said we're going on a date. He showed up at the time that he said. Simple.
Easy.
You don't have to explain that. It's just person being normal. Like,
Yeah, and another way of doing that, this is more to yourself, when you're like, oh, like he's not all bad, like he has these good points too, and it's like, yeah, anyone that you like is going to have some good points. Just because they're not the devil in human form, it doesn't mean they're good. Like, just because they have some good traits, like that's not really a valid excuse.
Oh my gosh, I remember when our older brother was like, tell me 5 good things about a guy or something, and I can't remember the exact situation, but he was just like, wow, he's nice or whatever. He's like, that should be a given. I was like,
That's not like a bonus point.
Perspective.
yeah. And also, let me just say again, don't play yourself. Don't say to yourself that quote that everyone says, oh, you know, I just need to, everyone has flaws. Yes, everyone has flaws, but that doesn't mean that you need to put yourself through the ringer with this person. Sometimes people's flaws are a little too much for you and they're not healthy.
There's a difference between a flaw and a character problem.
Like, you don't have to like shame that person or hate that person or whatever.
No,
but you don't have to date them. Tie their body to your back and drag them up a hill. Like, that's not your responsibility.
You don't need to tie yourself to the back of a horse and drag yourself through the mud.
Yeah.
Like my story of the dude forcing himself on me and me having to freaking smack him. I could be like, afterwards, everyone has flaws. I could say that. I could not explain it to anyone. They're just not going to get it. They don't know him like I do. They don't understand.
And
he
like,
has a great
he just
heart.
wanted to like love me. He wanted to be close.
Yeah, he just likes me too much. He just really wants to be close. Like, you can say that and you cannot explain it to anyone because you're like, they're just not going to get it. Guys, I've said this to myself so many times. They're just not going to get it. I'm just not going to explain it because like I'd get it, but just they don't.
And here's the challenge. If you feel like something's weird, you should tell someone. Tell a few people and see what they say. And if someone's like, that seems kind of sketchy, I don't. They're probably not wrong. Just saying.
There might be something sketchy. Okay, coming on super strong from the beginning.
I have experienced this. One time I looked at my lock screen and I saw like 8 new text messages, 3 missed FaceTimes, and 2 calls from the same person.
Wow.
In like 15 minutes. And at the time,
15?
in the last hour. And at the time, I'd just gotten out of an absolutely deadbeat relationship. So, you know, you have this perspective of like,
she likes me.
oh my God, like I was excited. And I sent the screenshot to my friends like, oh my gosh, look, I liked it. I thought it was flattering, but now I'm like, that is too much.
That's
like,
harassment.
I left my phone for an hour. You got to deal with it.
So the ways they can do this is what you said, basically harassing you with texts and calls from the beginning, just talking to you all the time. And I mean all the time.
All day.
I don't mean, oh, if someone talks to you a lot. I mean, like, guys, some of the stuff
they
that
won't
dude
give
is
you
insane.
a minute to yourself.
It's like, oh, you know when it's over the top, okay?
Yeah.
Like, do they have a life? Overdoing it with gifts and lavish experiences. That's another one. Spending a lot of money on you.
I would say, yeah, if someone's spending all this money on you and being lavish, what are they trying to hide? That's what I would ask.
Distract you from, make you feel like you owe them later on.
And again,
Lots
this
of
is in the
reasons.
beginning. It's like they don't have like this long history with you of like, this deep love. Like they don't have anything with you yet. So there's not really, it doesn't make sense for them to be so obsessed.
Yeah. Also,
it's
the
like,
opposite
why?
is true too. If they do not give you a single gift on times where you should get a gift, like your birthday,
a single ounce of
they don't
attention.
put any effort in.
that
But for
is
some
a red
reason,
flag.
like bad relationships, especially controlling relationships, often abusive relationships, they often start with this like super, super coming on strong thing. And oftentimes it is so that, I don't think they're calculating this in their head. I'm not saying everyone who does this is evil, you know, but it's a bad thing. It's often to make you feel like you owe them. And it's often to distract them.
get you in
said.
deep.
Hey, look over here. Look over
and
here.
to get you really connected really quick.
And usually they'll stop doing it at one point.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
you're like,
There's a
what went
extreme
wrong?
switch.
What did I do?
And then you
think
the
it's
walking
your
on
fault.
eggshells.
Yes, they
thing.
pull the rug out from under you.
It's like the same every time, guys. This is what happens with all my friends. It's like always the same. It's so weird. And obviously, this brings us to our last very obvious red flag, which is, but unfortunately, people still make excuses for this. Violence is absolutely a red flag, but it's very easy for some people to make excuses for their partner being violent, unfortunately. And this is anything. We're clarifying
anything.
Any even quote small thing. They shoved you.
I
It's
had a guy
just a joke.
pretend to slap me in the face once, and like that we weren't having an argument or anything. He's just like,
Okay, no.
and I was like,
That's kinda
that's not
weird.
funny, because
Yeah.
our dad was like really drill it into our head, like you never let a man lay a finger on you or ever hit you, pretend to hit you, joke about it. So I like kind of flew off the handle at him. I was like, that is not funny. You do not pretend to do that. He's like, it was a joke, it was a joke. I was like, I don't care. I'm not laughing.
It's not acceptable, but we can easily make excuses for people. Another thing is, this is a big one from someone we know who's in a horrible relationship. She got out of it, thank goodness. Breaking stuff in front of you.
Oh, scary.
So he broke some stuff in front of her. I don't want to say it was, make it too specific, but also like punching walls, things like that. It's like
they're not necessarily like hitting you or like harming you,
but it's
physically,
intimidation.
but they're like breaking things or being violent as
this
intimidation.
could be you next is kind of what they're saying.
Usually it'll escalate.
Yeah.
And then any threats. A threat is still a violent thing.
Oh yeah, like saying
Oh,
what they would do if you did something they didn't like.
And it's really easy. I know from a lot of people in these situations, it's easy to make an excuse like, well, he only did that because of my behavior, because I made him mad.
He didn't mean it.
It's not your fault.
He didn't mean it. He apologized, and
sad.
he said he was wrong. He was crying when he was apologizing. He was so
Oh.
emotional. I know that he's sorry. He's so sorry.
That Jasmine V song about domestic violence, it's called Didn't Mean It. She's like, if you didn't mean it, then why in the world would you say it? Ooh.
Because you don't go around like smacking people
or
around, do you?
threatening them. Like you don't do
It's,
that.
it's not a normal behavior at
And
all.
It's not
It's
like,
not
oh,
acceptable.
sorry, it just came out. It's just an accident.
And
It's
you
like,
can't just
you don't
love
do that on
someone.
accident.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't just. I have never accidentally hurt someone or broken something in front of someone. Oh my gosh,
Or
I'm so
threatened
sorry.
someone.
I accidentally hit you in the face. That doesn't happen.
I accidentally smashed a vase and stared at you.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I
you may
didn't do
think like
that.
I can love them through this, like Beauty and the Beast, but that's just a fairy tale. That's not real. You can't. They need help. They need help, and
That
you are
you
not
can't
the person
provide.
to help them.
You're not the professional help they need. They need professional help.
Yeah.
So once again, obviously, if you're in any of these situations, immediately get help, get out of it. There's domestic violence hotlines you can call. There's a lot of resources now, especially online. You can just search and you will find tons of resources in your area maybe.
We should include some in the description for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely should.
Yes, that is a great idea.
Check the links.
So that is the end of our 10 red flags.
Ooh, that was
heavy.
It was
Wow.
that was a heavy one.
I'm triggered. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
oh,
very
and
triggered.
like
I
this
know.
imaginary person. I'm like, get away from me.
Yeah.
I know. So we're gonna lighten it up and move on to our new segment, which is Bag of Random.
Let's get random, guys.
The bonnet of
And guys, I want to
random.
say there's lots of good people in the world.
There are
and
many
I've
good.
had many respectful interactions and relationships. So there's hope in the world. There are plenty of nice, kind, good people.
Amen.
Say that after that.
Amen.
Today's bag of random topic is a personal poll, which I love. The question is, what type of YouTube comments or YouTube comment trends need to die? I'll go first because I ranted about this semi-recently. I don't know why people feel the need. Like, you've seen something 1,000 times. Now people are like, all right, now I need to say this 1,000,000 times because it's been done 100,000 times. So the comments where people say, nobody, not anyone, not a single soul, and then like, me eats a banana or whatever. Like, it's like, no, that's not funny. I think
It
the
was
joke,
funny.
it was
at
hilarious at
and
first. The
it's
joke was
not.
supposed to be like, oh, I do this thing out of the blue all the time, right? But I can't even think of a good example now. But now people do it of like, me clicks on this video. It's like, yeah, no duh. Everyone who's watching it clicked on the video. Like, what are you talking about? Just stop saying that. It's not funny anymore. It's so dead.
Rip.
I would just say negative and abusive language.
Oh,
Okay. Good one, Amy. Amy is the YouTube guidelines.
I am.
Okay.
Okay. I was actually talking about this morning. Is when people say like, as if this is shocking new information. Oh my gosh, this video has 100 likes but only 10 views. What's up with YouTube? It's like, guys, we know. We all know every single video on YouTube does this and has been doing this for years.
Like 10 years.
Guys, all
So
the comments
long.
on this are just gonna be those.
You know what, guys?
No,
No, that person probably hadn't seen it before.
They
Honestly.
have,
it's a
Catherine.
trend.
It was the first
It's a
time.
trend.
Give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, you think this one is over, but it is so not over. That's why I'm saying this needs to stop because it should be over. The Hotel Trivago one. That is so, guys, it's been going on for so long. I think we get it. I think we can move
I don't think I
on.
know that
I think
one.
it's so
Yeah.
still funny because I
don't
haven't
know what
seen
it
it
is.
like millions and
Yeah,
millions.
that one
I'm
wasn't
the-
like
I'm the
abused.
number one comment reader in this room.
Okay.
I love to read comments while I'm watching the video. I love to read, like, to scroll for years and read every comment. So I have seen that so many times. It just needs to stop.
I always just like glance the top comments, jazz around if I care.
Jazz around.
Yeah, I just jazz around. I meant to say, I don't know, my
Jazz
brain
square
is
around.
shutting down at this point. I didn't get enough sleep, but I just like take a glance and move on.
All right, what's
Makes
yours?
sense.
I don't know if people really do this that much anymore because I haven't really read comments in a while. But I would say my contribution would be, maybe this isn't even that relevant, so just don't judge me. But I would say I used to notice people would like timestamp and then point out something that I just thought was kind of overly over the top. Like,
stupid.
oh, did you notice that this many minutes that she did this? And it's like, no one cares.
I
Like,
kind of agree on that.
it's
Like,
just kind of annoying. I just like, seriously, did you have to go back and pause the video and like point that out? Really? I mean,
Yeah,
unless
I
it's like
agree.
something really interesting, then
yeah,
that's cool.
it's like too
Catherine
subtle and
is
too weird.
roasting
if it's something
you.
pointless,
Oh,
like,
and it's to roast them in a mean way. I can't.
yeah, if they're trying to roast
get
them, that's
over
even
yourself.
worse. Especially when they're being critical. Yeah.
I can't with bullying.
And
Yikes.
bullies go home.
All right, now moving on to Sister Spotlight, where each sister gets the spotlight. Nope, that's not what I meant to say. A different sister gets a spotlight every week. This includes Lauren's take, Get Real with Christina, Sappy Thoughts with Catherine, Amy's Current Crisis, and Exposing Lisa's Weird Past. And this week, the sister is... Ding! Catherine.
Katarina.
You
Yeah.
said Catherine instead of Kath, and I got really thrown off.
Do I normally say
You're like-
Happy Thoughts with Kath?
Yes.
Oh,
Savvy
yeah.
Thoughts
I
with
didn't
Kat.
even
All right,
know
I
that.
upgraded to a new shawl.
Is
that
that
I
it?
got for Christmas. Yeah.
I love it.
I think
Guys,
it's just
she
more, It's more
upgraded.
joyful, but my other one's like a dark green. This one really gets the vibe more.
I agree.
Alright.
She's really got a lot of
If
shawls.
You're new here. This is my shawl that goes with the vibes of my soul. Okay.
Truth.
All right. Yeah, I do have a lot of shawls. Okay.
You do
All right,
have a
so-
lot of shawls.
Lisa's taking a picture of me.
All
All right, so today's segment is themed the best things about each season.
Hmm.
So I'm going to give you some overall thoughts, and I'm also going to give you a song to listen to and a book to read for every season. Okay.
Oh my
that's a
gosh.
lot. I'm excited.
Well, there's 4, so it's only 4. But you said it's oh, I thought you meant that's a lot of seasons. Sorry.
no, a lot of in depth.
All right, so
It is in depth.
we'll just start chronologically with the calendar year. The first season being winter. What I love about winter is that when I think of winter, I think of hibernation. It's just, it's a cozy time where you can be in your cave. Well, unless you live in like Arizona or something where it's not that cold. But if you live
Florida.
most places, you'll be colder and it'll be colder outside. So you can just kind of be in your home and be like a big bear just hibernating in the cave. And I just love, my favorite thing about winter is spending time just like reading and drinking tea, watching movies. It's just such a cozy time. All right, so my song for winter is Winter Hymns by Charlie Simpson. Oh man, that's just got the memes. Listen to that song while you walk down like a road. You know, you're wearing like a big coat and you're walking down this wintry path and you're listening to that song and you're just reflecting on your life. That's
The
best.
memes means memories, by the way.
Oh yeah, the memes.
I think
Okay.
people know
Also,
that.
this
I don't know.
the title of this book for my book I'm going to give you to read might not be that savvy, but it's called In the Land of White Death. And
that is not savvy.
the author is Valerian Albanov, and it's one of my favorite books I've ever read. I have this random genre of books that I love that's
yes.
survival novel, or not novels, survival books. They're true stories of survival.
Ugh.
So this was about a it was somewhere in the north. I think it was like the Franz Joseph Archipelago. Did I say archipelago?
I
Yes.
don't know.
But
Who
anyway,
are you?
it was these voyagers that got trapped in ice. And they had to like
Okay.
bobsled back to where their home country was. It's so good.
Oh, I remember you
And it's
telling me
perfect
about
for
this
winter.
book.
Okay,
So
great
anyway,
winter reading.
that's my winter book. All right,
Miserable.
moving on to spring. When I think of spring, I think of new life. And it's
Yes.
just present everywhere that you look. The weather is perfect many days. And to me,
Ooh.
that means 2 things. Because my first favorite type of weather is 70 degrees and sunny. And my other favorite type of weather is a thick, all-encompassing thunderstorm. I
Oh
love
my
that. I
gosh.
just nothing
I
better than
don't.
being in your house and falling asleep when there's just like rain, unless there's like a tornado warning, that kind of ruins it. But you know, as long as there's no
Kinda ruins
tornado,
it.
we're good. So going along with the theme of transformation, I have a great song and a great book. So the song, Lauren actually helped me pick this one, but it's called Bloom by Paper Kites.
Mm.
I love the song
that
for,
one.
and it really does sound like flowers blooming, like the vibe of it, like the guitar part.
Totally.
It just has this bloomy type of vibe. And then the book, I'm gonna go with the theme of like change and new life. Is The Dance of Anger by Harriet Lerner. It was actually given to me by my mother-in-law. And it's a really good book. It's all about like standing up for yourself, and it really transformed me in a lot of ways.
Transformation.
All right,
Okay.
moving on to summer. So summer, when I think of summer, I think of adventure and freedom.
Yes.
And I think of
Yes.
road trips.
Agreed.
Oh,
Yes.
love road trips. Love them. It's a time to be fun and colorful, a time to get outside and just really try new things and experience new freedoms. So my song for summer would be Passion Fashion by Judah and the Lion. It just makes you feel like freedom. And then my book would be Cold Tangerines
I
by
knew you were
Shauna
gonna do that
Nicholas,
one.
my favorite author. And this book, the tagline of it is celebrating the extraordinary nature of everyday life. It's so good. All right, last season, fall, my favorite season. I love fall. Fall's my favorite season. It always has been. I feel like
Okay.
it's
everyone's favorite.
No,
So,
I think
It's
spring
not
is
my
actually my
favorite.
favorite.
Summer.
I mean, you guys, do I even
I
have
can't
to
hear
explain
you.
fall to you? You guys already know it's the best season. It's all about
we?
transformation,
You
change.
just said spring was.
No, spring is new life.
Okay.
Fall is rebirth and transformation. Okay? It's two different
New
things
life,
here. Two different things.
Okay.
Because the leaves are dying in the fall. They're
It's
not
about death.
growing. No, that's really more winter. But I love fall. The baking, the holidays, the colors, the smells, the smell of rain when it hits the ground and it's cold out. I love that.
God,
So-
it rains all year.
No. But there's a certain fall smell where it's like a little bit colder outside and it just smells.
Yes, no,
and it's
you're right.
combined with the smell of cut firewood. That's what I would say.
I
Burning
knew
in
it.
people's stoves.
That's
Okay.
true.
So my song for you for fall is Warm With You by Hayden Calnin, Calnin. It's just a very like, it just makes you feel like you're at home being cozy with someone you love.
Okay.
And then my book is kind of going with, it's similar to the spring, but it's that sort of theme of transformation, and it's called The Language of Flowers by Vanessa Deffenbaugh.
Screaming.
It's just an amazing story of this girl who grows up in foster care, and then she like works at a flower shop, and she learns like the meanings behind all the
That's cool.
flowers. It's
Oh,
an
I love
amazing book.
that.
So anyway, I hope you enjoy those suggestions and that you'll read them and listen to them, and that you'll enjoy the seasons along the
Beautiful
way.
work.
I really enjoyed that, Kat.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Great
you should have the
presentation.
bonnet too. with the shawl.
Yeah, you should
All
be
right, I'm
wearing
getting kind of
that.
hot in this.
That was really something.
That was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you
Thanks, Kath.
for
welcome.
sharing. All right,
A true
guys.
blessing.
Guys, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week if you're on Patreon, because the next episode is Patreon only. Thank you again to our patrons, because you guys are the reason our podcast is going. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, night.
Bye.
That's probably the only options. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Cimorelli podcast. Follow Cimorelli on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find Cimorelli on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.